Good evening, everybody. Good to have you back here again. I still remain your biology tutor, Ms. Ekonye Obiemo Florence. And today we'll be talking about levels of organization of life. Levels of organization of life in biology. And if we have time, look at evolution. Next slide. Okay, there are 5 levels of organization of life according to biology. You have the cellular level of organization, you have the tissue level of organization, the organ level of organization, system level of organization, and the organism level of organization. Now, at the cellular at the cellular level of organization, that is the lowest level of organization of life of any organism. Here, in the last class, we talked about cells, and we described cells as the smallest functional unit of life that can exhibit the characteristics of living things. We went further to talk about cell organelles and how they help a cell to carry out these life functions. So every single organism that exists or existed started off as a single cell. For instance, human beings, which are regarded as the most developed organisms in the animal kingdom, starts off its life process when a single sperm cell unites and fertilizes a single egg cell, which forms a single-celled zygote, which through meiosis divides to form a fetus, which develops into a baby and a full-grown and trees. Examples of cellular parts of a plant are the parenchyma, you have the parenchyma and the collenchyma cells. Now, these are what you call cells in a plant, example of cells in a plant or in a plant organism. In animals, examples of cells include sperm cells, otherwise known as spermatozoa, the egg cell or ova, blood cells, and so many other cells that you can find in the animal body rather. Now, the tissue level of organization. That is the second or the next level of organization of life. Now, this is the second level of organization of life. Tissues are regarded as similar cells, structurally adapted to perform a particular function. In other words, it is the union of two or more cells that carry out a particular function in the body of living organisms. Now, cells make up tissues. But then, not just any cell can form any tissue. Similar cells, like I said, they are structurally adapted. They must be similar. They must be structurally adapted to perform the same function. The cell that can form the tissues found in the heart is not going to be the same cells that will form the tissue that you can find on your leg or on the arms or on your skin. So these cells have to be similar. They have to be structurally adapted to come together to form these tissues. For cells to unite, they must be similar to one another, and the organism obviously must be unicellular. That is it. A single-celled organism does not have need for tissue. So, the level of organization of life, it doesn't mean that every organism has that system that follows all the levels of things. Also have to the organism level of to the system level of organization. So, in plants, example of tissues in plants include the xylem and the phloem. Xylem and phloem. So xylem, this is a part of a vascular plant which exists at the tissue level of the plant. So xylem is a tissue found in vascular plants or higher plants. Now, the functions of this xylem includes transport of nutrients from plant soil interface or the roots to the other parts of the plant. It is the xylem that helps to transport nutrients from the soil, like nitrogen and some other nutrients from the soil, and even water from the soil into the stem part of the plant and to the leaves or other parts of the plants. The number 2 function of the xylem is provision of mechanical support to the plants. They also provide mechanical support to the plants. The third one is storage of nutrients. So this xylem, in as much as they help to transport food, nutrients rather, not just food, The nutrients that the plants could not utilize at the moment can also be stored by the xylem. Next slide. The phloem. Phloem is a living tissue in vascular plants. Their functions include transport of soluble organic compounds made during photosynthesis, particularly sugar, in the form of sucrose to other parts of the plants where they are needed. That is the stem and the roots. Now, the phloem and the xylem are tissues found in plants. These tissues help to transport nutrients or materials in general around the plant body. But like I said in the xylem transports materials, that is nutrients, from the soil, from the roots of the plant to the other parts of the plant, towards the stem and the leaves. Xylem transports from the roots towards the stem, then to the leaves. And it transports mostly nutrients like nitrogen and water. While the phloem transports from the leaves down to the roots. Now, what does it transport? Sugar. Because when food is made by the chlorophyll, using the chlorophyll during photosynthesis, they make sure when the food is made, the phloem is what helps transport this food from the leaves down to the stem of the tree and then down to the roots or other parts of the plant. This is just a pictorial representation of flow of materials via the phloem and the xylem. Now, this arrow represents the xylem taking food or sugar or materials from the leaves down to the stem and to the upper parts of the plant, that is the root. While this one here represents the xylem, which transports nutrients from the roots of the plant to the stem and then to the leaves. Next slide. They are basically classified on parts of the body where they are found and the functions they perform. Like I said earlier, it's not the tissue you found in the heart that you can find in the hand or in the skull or your foot or any other part of your body. Where they are found and their functions determine the type of cells that make them up. And their functions determine the part of the body where you find them. So in animals, the tissues. Next slide. So epithelial tissues. These are tissues that line the outer surface of organs and body parts, as well as inner surface of many internal organs. They line the outer surface of body organs, and then the inner surface of many internal organs. Examples of tissues include the outer layer of the skin, that is the epidermis. The epidermis is an example of a tissue that is found in animal body. Epithelial cells could be squamous, they could be columnar, that is in shape, or cuboidal. And their functions include secretion, absorption, protection, intracellular transport, and sensation. Now, secretion here means they have to secrete some substances or materials that the part of the body needs, maybe like in the skin, the epidermis that line the skin. You find what you call it, the sebaceous gland that produces oily or fat and oil that helps to keep the skin moisturized. Then you have the function of absorption. They also help to absorb nutrients into the tissue and to the organ part of the body where they are found. They provide protection for the internal organs of the organism. They also help in intracellular transport, that is transport of materials between the tissues and the cells, where the tissues and cells that make them up. Then sensation. They help the animal or the organism to feel something, sort of irritability. Around joints in the body. Tissues found mostly around joints in the body. Functions of connective tissues include support, firmness, transport or transmission of substances around the body. They provide support to the body, part of the body where they're found actually, or the joints where they are located. Firmness, transport or transmission of substances around the body. Examples include the cartilage, you have the bones, have the collagen fibers, and etc. So if you find a person where they list something like cartilage, bones, collagen fibers, and all that can be described in what level of organization? It's simple. They are tissues found in animal body. So cartilage is the tissue in the animal body. The bones, bone tissue, you have the collagen fibers. All these are tissues found in the animal body. Muscle tissues. Muscle tissues, these are tissues that make up the muscles of the body. Their functions cannot be different from the general functions of muscles in the body. May not all be the same, but then very related to what a muscle should perform in the body of an organism. So which is support, movement, and firmness. So muscle tissues help to provide support, movement, and firmness. You have the smooth muscles and the striated muscles. All these are examples of tissues in general, but in animals you can classify them as muscle tissues. So nervous muscles. Nervous muscles, these are main components of the nervous system, present in the organs of the nervous system. Their functions include integration and communication. And their examples include the neurons and dendrites. So the neurons and dendrites are more tissues found in the animal body. So they are classified on the tissue level of cellular organization. So the third level of organization of life is the organ level. Organs, they are the third level of organization of life after the cells and tissues. They are a collection of similar tissues functioning together to keep the body alive. Now, organs are a collection of similar tissues, not just any tissue found in any part of the body. These tissues has to be similar, just like cells come together to form the tissues. Similar cells form the tissues. Same way, similar tissues structurally adapted to each other make up the organs of the body. As well, the kind of organ they make up and the part of the body where they are found will actually determine their functions. Their functions vary depending on the part of the body where they are found and system they constitute. In plants, organs include stems, roots, leaves, and reproductive organs. Now, if a question comes up, something like leaves can be described in what level of organization? It's simple. It's on the organ level of organization. So the stem, the root, leaves, and then the reproductive organs of a plant are actually what make up the organ level of plants. So let's take them one after another, the roots. These are found on the ground or under the soil surface. Functions include keeping the plants in the ground and providing firm support for it. Take in water and nutrients from the soil into the plant body. So these are above the soil, such as the leaves. They transport water and nutrients between the roots and the leaves. Now, it is the stem that holds the leaves in place. It may not necessarily hold a particular leaf, but it holds the branches that make up the branches where the leaf stalks and the flowers are found. So if there is no stem, then necessarily it's obvious that that plant is not a vascular plant. It actually must be a lower plant, maybe that has just roots, and such plants might have gone into extinction by now. So they transport water and nutrients between the roots and the leaves. So the leaves by exchanging oxygen with carbon dioxide. So just like in human or in animals, where we take in oxygen and take out carbon dioxide, plants through the leaves breastfed bring out oxygen which we breathe in, and then take in carbon dioxide which we breathe out. The reproductive organs of the plant helps it to produce new organisms. Examples of organs in animals: you have the respiratory organs such as the lungs and trachea in humans and vertebrates at large. You have the gills in the fish, and you have spiracles in insects. These are examples of organs in animals. Now, let me explain something here. Organs in animals depend on the parts of the body where they're found, and the system they constitute is what defines them. Now, you describe them as respiratory organs, excretory organs, circulatory organs, reproductive organs, and all that. They are not just standalone organs. They must constitute a particular system from which they derive their name. So, respiratory organs in animals, you have the lungs and trachea, such as found in vertebrates. You have gills, such as found in fish. You have spiracles in insects and some other organisms. Then coming to reproductive organs, you have the penis, you have the excretory organs, you have such as the kidney, as found in vertebrates, and you have the Malpighian tubulus, which is found in insects. You have the circulatory organs, such as the heart. Okay, so the fourth level of organization of life, that is the system level of organization. The system consists of numerous organs. Structural systems in organisms describe the characteristics of living things like movement, respiration, reproduction, nutrition, irritability, growth, excretion, and reproduction. Their organs, their composition vary between plants and animals, and even between animals and animals. Now, the organs make up a particular system of the body. The organs make up a particular system of the body. Like we talked about when we were defining organs. They make up the nose, you talk about the trachea, you talk about the lungs, you talk about the bronchi and all other organs in the body that make up. When you put all these organs together, they form the respiratory system. One cannot do without another. So you have a lung dysfunction or something. Your body, your systems will not function properly until whatever the problem it is fixed in the human body. Your systems will not be able to function well. Same thing as in digestion. If you don't have a mouth, you can't feed. You don't have a tongue, then you cannot feed through the mouth. Probably you feed through your skin, that is of injections and all that to inject nutrients into the body. But when you don't have a mouth, you obviously will not be able to feed. When you talk about circulation, a human being who doesn't have a heart, I think the person is dead. The person will not be comfortable. So all these organs work together. They do not work in isolation. You can't say because you have a nose and then your bronchi is blocked, you expect to breathe well. You can't. And just like that in every other system of the body. So these systems are described as the respiratory system, you have the excretory system, you have the circulatory system, you have the digestive system, the reproductive system, the nervous system, and the skeletal system. Now, all these systems, they vary, like I said, in plants and animals, and they also vary even between animals and animals. Some animals do not have highly developed circulatory systems, but they have a circulatory system that is enough to carry out all their need for blood transmission around their body. Some do not have highly developed, and they use it to produce new organisms. Some organisms do not even have a skeletal systems because skeletons are found in vertebrates. So some organisms do not have a skeletal system. Some have a not well developed skeletal system. Some have a nervous system but not so developed as in vertebrates and in mammals. Okay, so then we'll have the organism level, comprises of could be an animal, could be a plant, human being, an insect, rodent, or whatever you want to call it. Even the single-celled organisms are also classified under organism level, because the single cell is able to carry out all its life processes or all its life functions. So you cannot take it away from it. Some organisms, like I said earlier, develop through the cell. They have tissues, they have organs, then a well-developed system that make up the whole organism, just like human beings or animals and some vascular plants. While some develop only to tissue level, some just have the cellular level. Single-celled organisms, they're able to reproduce, they're able to make their own food, some are parasitic, they're able to digest their food and transmit substances around their body. So the organism level doesn't necessarily mean that an organism must have all these levels, like the cellular, the tissue, the organ, or the system level. But some organisms do have and some do not have. So that does not take away the fact that something like a fungi cannot be regarded as a full-blown organism because it is considered to be unicellular. Or maybe something like the euglena and the chlamydomonas that do not have well-developed reproductive systems and well-developed systems in their body. They are all still organisms and they are described on the organism level of life, even though some are answers on organization of life. Here it says, use the diagram above to answer this question 12 and 13. Now, this is the diagram of a plant, of a vascular plant, which is labeled. See the soil here. Identify the xylem and the phloem of the phloem in this plant that is shown. If you look at this arrow is going down. That means it's taking nutrients or food from the leaves down to the roots. And then, if you look at this other arrow, this one here, is taken from the roots into the leaves. So, obviously, this is the phloem and this is the xylem. And so the answer is A. If you look at it, III and IB. This is IB, which shows the xylem taking nutrients up into the leaves, and then III shows the phloem taking nutrients from the leaves down to the soil. So if you understand the functions of the xylem and the phloem tissues and the directions which they take nutrients in the plant's body, then you'll be able to attempt that question. Look at it again. Now, this is I showing the nutrient or something going to the leaf, while this one shows something leaving the leaves. And now, I explained to us earlier that the leaves helps the plant in respiration, where it gives off oxygen and absorbs carbon dioxide. So this RII shows the leaves giving off oxygen. So the answer is obviously D, which is release of oxygen as a byproduct of respiration or byproduct of photosynthesis. Another question says the vascular tissues in higher plants are responsible for dash. What are vascular tissues? That is the xylem and the phloem. They are found in higher plants. Respiration pool. This says transport of gases and water. So, one trick you need to know about answering questions in JAMB to help you to meet up with time by using the elimination method. Now, when you see a question, you're not very certain of the answer at first sight looking at it, you start with the elimination method. Now, the ones that you know are not even likely answers, you take them out. Then, as you're able to do that, when you're able to see, okay, maybe you have two options that you're. So, we have another diagram here. So, use the diagram below to answer question 19 and 20. So, the arrows represent directional movement of materials, transportation and the xylem is represented by what? Let's look at the diagram again. You say the arrows represent directional movement of materials. That is where the materials are going. So obviously this arrow here is taking food down to the stem, from the leaves to the stem and to the roots, while this is taken from the roots to the stem and the leaves. So it says transportation in the xylem is represented by what? Xylem takes food from the roots to the leaves. So which arrow shows us, which arrow looks like it's taking food or nutrients from the arrow? That shows the xylem, because the arrow shows the direction of movement from underground towards the leaves. Then second question said the arrow labeled II represents the dash. Let's look at the diagram again. II. This is II, and this arrow shows that nutrient or a substance is going in to the leaves. So, and what goes into the leaf during photosynthesis or during respiration? Of carbon dioxide, movement of photosynthase, movement of nutrients. So the answer to this is actually the release of, the intake of carbon dioxide as against air, as I stated here, release of oxygen. Because it is going into the leaves. The direction of the arrow shows it's going into the leaves. And what goes into the leaves during respiration is carbon dioxide, because that is what they take in and give out oxygen. It's the cambium, you have the xylem, you have C the cortex, and you have the phloem. So what part of the plant does mineral salts and water come from? We have to understand that first. Does it come from the leaves, or the stems, or the roots? Now, if you're able to understand that plants absorb water from the soil, from underground, and also mineral salts like nitrogen. And then it's okay. If plants absorbs water and mineral salt from the soil or underground, then what tissue in the plant is responsible for transporting those the mineral salts and the water down to other parts of the plant? The answer should be the xylem. That is B. So the other question goes, which of the following is the simplest living organism? Which of the following is the simplest living? Okay, so you have the paramecium, you have the virus, you have the amoeba, and you have the chlamydomonas. Now, I explained to us in our class where we talked about cells that viruses are only classified as living things when they are found in the body of living things, maybe in plants or animals. But viruses do not carry out any life functions when they exist in a part of a non-living thing, maybe on your table or on the wall or anywhere. They do not reproduce, they do not, they are just there. But the moment they find themselves into the body of a living organism, they begin to respire, they begin to multiply and carry out some life functions. Even though they are very tiny and cannot be seen with the naked eye, but they cannot be regarded as the simplest living organism because they are not living organisms per se. So the amoeba here is classified as the simplest living organism here. Okay, so we have another question. The listed tissues, system, cell, and organs. Which of the above is the level of organization of a leaf? Which of the above is the level of organization of a leaf? Now, the leaf is a part of the plant, and when we talk about organs in the plant, we mentioned the leaf, we have the leaves, the stem, the roots, and the reproductive organs. So here, leaf is actually regarded as organ in the plant, and the answer is, you find leaves on ivy, Maybe here we have A, so the answer is A. So a leaf is an organ found in the plant. So now question says the correct sequence of increasing level of complexity is, they listed the tissue, system, cell, and the organs. And they're asking the correct sequence of increasing level of complexity is, so is it from the tissue to the systems, then you have cells or the organs, or the organisms develop from organs to cells to systems and tissues. So like we described earlier, we talked that organisms develop, they all come up from single cells, then multi-cells to form tissues, the tissues form organs, and these organs form the system. So the correct sequence should be I, B, and I. So you have the answer I, B, and I. That is the correct sequence of increasing level of complexity. But when it has to be with, when maybe they change the questions to decreasing level of complexity, then it has to be from the system level down to the organ level, then the tissue and the cells. The next question says the respective tissues that transport water and manufactured food in plants are the xylem and the phloem. You have the phloem and the trachea. You have the phloem and xylem, and the xylem and the trachea. Now, this question is a bit confusing because xylem and phloem are there. They transport food, water, or nutrients from the body. But the question says tissues that transport water and manufactured food in plants. The phloem, because plant food are manufactured in the leaves through photosynthesis, and then the manufactured food is now transferred or transported to other parts of the plant via the phloem. So take your time to understand the question before you pick an answer. So the answer is xylem and the phloem, but here they said option C says phloem and xylem. Now, if you say phloem and xylem, you may be correct. They transport water and food. But the sequence, the manner in which the question is asked, is the manner you're expected to provide answer to the questions. So the next question, which of the following group of organisms has kidney as their excretory organ? Have fishes, amphibians, annelids, and insects. Have fishes, reptiles, birds, and tapeworms. Have fishes, protozoans, amphibians, and man. Now, kidney is found in vertebrates. So, and the only option here that constitutes of purely vertebrates is option A. Fishes, amphibians, birds, and man. So our answer here is A. So another question here says the lowest level of organization in living organism is, you have the organ, the cell, the system, and the tissue. Our answer is cell. It is the lowest level of organization, which can also double as an organism level of organization. You have the heart, you have the hair, the uvula, and the hydra. It's obviously the heart because the heart comprises of many cells which form the tissue, which then come together to form the organ level, which is the heart. Okay, so that's that for level of organization in life in biology. I expect with the little we've been able to cover up, you should be able to answer questions that come up on level of organization, no matter the manner in which they come. Understanding which and which are organs, which and which are cells, both in plants and animals, will help you a long way to answer any question that comes up on level of organization of life. So let's move to the next one, evolution. Evolution is the process which different kind of organisms are believed to have developed from their earliest forms during the history of the Earth. You know, scientists believe that there was something that existed before the now. There was a before and now. So this evolution talks about the animals that, or the organisms rather, that existed from the beginning. What gave birth to what? What gave birth to what? Even till single-celled single-celled organisms that are not well developed, maybe do not have two hands and all that. Little by little, they were able to develop into human beings with advanced brain and complex body systems. So it is a change in characteristics of a species over several generations. The change in characteristics of a species over several generations. And then there are, to back up these evolution stories, there are theories attached to them. Theories attached to them that are regarded as theories of evolution. And then there are four main theories of evolution. Number one is the Lamarck theory of inheritance of acquired characters. Number two, you have the Darwin's theory of natural selection. You have the mutation theory of the berries, of what we are looking at. You'll only be taking the first and the second theory of evolution, that is the Lamarck theory of inheritance of acquired characters and the Darwin's theory of natural selection. Lamarck's theory of acquired inheritance, or Lamarckism, is also called the theory of acquired the theory of inheritance of acquired characters, and was proposed by a great French naturalist, Jean-Baptiste Lamarck, in his famous book, Philosophique zoologique. This theory is based on the comparison between the contemporary species of its time to fossil records, that is, species that existed in its time, and to records from fossils that it have. Now, what are the things that he proposed in his theory? 1. Newness. 2. Use and disuse of organs. 3. Inheritance of acquired characters, and then speciation. Now, what do you mean by newness? Newness talks about when an organism, as organisms move about the new environments, as the weather changes, maybe sunlight, lack of rainfall, natural disasters and all that, these organisms tend to develop new needs. That's need for other body parts or something that will help them to live up to the time they find themselves. He also believes in the use and disuse of body organs. Now, what do you mean by this? He talks about when an organism is using a particular organ or body part and moves into a new environment, or probably there's change in the environment or things around the environment, in the ecosystem in general. He believed that some of these body parts or organs will no longer be needed by the organisms, so they will be dropped. That is disuse. And then use means they will develop new ones that they can use to meet up to the standard of the time where they find themselves. Now, all these things are taken from fossil records, because you saw records, fossil records from rock bodies, from the sea, and all that. So you saw different body parts of organisms that were dated back to many years, and then later they are no longer found in such organisms. There's now a different species or a different level to that organism. That means they've taken away or made away with the body part they are no longer using, and then got new ones to help them live to their times. Now, 3, the inheritance of acquired characters. Now, you also believe that when an organism acquires a new character or characteristics in its environment or in the ecosystem, there is likelihood that it will transmit it to its offspring, which in turn also gives it to their offspring. And most of the times, when there's transmission of this acquired characters from the predecessors, a new species may be developed. That brings us to the fourth proposal he made. Away with organs, body parts they don't need. When they inherit characteristics from their predecessors, this gives rise to a new species of organism that is somehow different from what existed to the time before. According to Lamarck, an existing individual is the sum total of the characters acquired by a number of previous generations, and the speciation is a gradual process. So the summary of the four postulates of Lamarckism includes: living organisms or their component parts tend to increase in size. Number two, production of new organs is resulted from a new need, like I explained. When there is a need for a new organ to help them survive in the environment, then the organisms will produce or develop these new organs. And when there is no more need for them, they do away with them. Continued use of an organ makes it more developed, while disuse of an organ results in degeneration. Acquired characters or modifications developed by individuals during their own lifetime are inheritable and accumulate over a period of time, resulting in a new species. So Darwin's theory of natural selection. Charles Darwin explained his theory of evolution in a book entitled The Origin of Species by Means of Natural Selection. So Darwin believed that organisms, they survive, they selected, they live by natural selection. Now, when a particular organism is in an environment, is living, is carrying out its life processes, its ability to compete with similar species or similar organisms that lives in the same environment where it exists for food, for sunlight, for space, and whatever be it in an ecosystem, is what gives it an edge. And he said that it is what is found in the order of organism that makes it ahead of others. That is theory of natural selection. It doesn't have to do with acquisition of other organs to survive, but what is found in the body of this organism is what helps it to compete and then form a new species. Now, we talked about geometric increase in size. And when an organism produces new ones, the offspring give birth to offspring, and like that, there's an increase in the population. And if a particular organism is not healthy enough or not strong enough or does not have the abilities to be able to compete in this environment, then its competitors or other organisms around it will outgrow it and survive, while that organism that was not able to compete will die and go into extinction. And those ones that were able to compete and survive grows to form new species. So we talked about limited food and space. Same thing about competition. When there's limited food, as the organisms they continue to produce, there's competition for food and for space. So stronger organisms are the ones that are able to find the food and the space where they will exist. When the lesser strong organisms cannot fight for food and cannot fight for space, they die off and they go into extinction. Struggle for existence, just like I explained here, all these organisms that existed in earlier times, they struggled for existence, and their ability to get food and space is what keeps them even to the present generation. And then variations. Now, variation talks about when these organisms produce new ones, they're able to fight for food, they're able to struggle for existence, get space and all that. They're able to develop into different species. Why? Because they have what is found in their body that helps them to fight or struggle for existence. And when they're able to win up, they form different variations and give rise to various species that are found in present day. Okay, so in summary of this evolution, Lamarck's theory of evolution can be summarized as theory of acquired inheritance. All these other postulates are what made him to arrive to what he talked about in his theory. But he believed that his main belief and his main standing that organisms are able to transfer inherited characters. They are able to acquire new characters, and when they acquire these new characters from their environment, they can be able to transfer these new characters to their offspring. But now, scientists try to disprove that, saying that there is no way they can transmit acquired characters from the environment. That transmission of character has to do with the component, what the organism is made of. That is the DNA of the organism, as found in the nucleus of the organism. So the organism's ability to maybe survive in its environment, develop organs or functions that help it, cannot be transmitted to them. What makes up an organism is the components of its DNA. So that is one fallacy, as is described in biology, regarding Lamarck's theory of evolution. The Darwin's theory of natural selection can also be regarded as theory of survival of the fittest. If you look at everything Darwin proposed in this theory, you find that it's the struggle for existence. So when organisms they struggle to survive, as they survive, they adapt to their environment, they adapt to new needs, they adapt to various things that are found in the environment, and then the ones that could not fight or could not struggle, they die off. While the ones that were able to struggle the ones that were able to struggle and compete for other components of the ecosystem survive. So it is regarded as the theory of natural selection. So this theory actually this theory of natural selection was supported by another scientist called Wallace. Wallace, who also supported the theory of natural selection of Charles Darwin, which he proposed in his book Origin of Species. So when you have questions probably bordering on evolution and theories of evolution in particular, you find that the two most mentioned names there are Lamarck and then Darwin. So what you have to grab about Lamarck that has to do with theory of acquired inheritance and theory of use and disuse of body parts. So he believes that acquired inheritance or acquired traits are transmittable. They can be transmitted from offspring to offspring and giving rise to a new species. He also believes that he also believes, aside the theory of acquired traits, he also believes in the use and disuse of body parts. He believes that when a particular body part of an organism is no longer relevant to its existence or its survival at a particular time, it sheds off that body part of that organism. Just like in human beings that were believed to have developed from apes, apes have tails. They have they use their hands and their legs to work. But when apes function needed in their body part, because humans don't need to climb trees, humans don't need to jump from tree to tree and all that. So they had to do away with the tail, and that's why you have a human being. You find a human being without a tail. Also, for the fact that human beings do not need to jump from trees to trees or walk on the floor, on the ground with four hands. That is why you see human beings standing like this. So this is all the postulates that they have to do with use and disuse of body parts. So some body parts that are not needed are dealt away with, and the ones that are needed are left, which gives rise to new species. So theory of natural selection, geometric insight, limited field and space, struggle for existence, variations, which all can be summarized to be the theory of survival of the fittest. So your ability to survive in the competitive environment, fight for everything that you need to live, it's what gives you an edge above others. So that brings us to the end of the class. Thank you for listening. We don't have more time on our side. We have looked at some questions bordering on theories of evolution. But hopefully in our next class, we'll be able to treat the evolution in full, how organisms develop from single-celled organisms to multi-celled organisms to lower plants to vascular plants to seed and flowering plants. That is in the plant kingdom. Then how organisms also developed from invertebrates to vertebrates in the animal kingdom. Thank you once again for listening, and my name remains Ebonyi Obioma Florence. Bye-bye. What's the time?
The one is in Microsoft Word.
That's still my own.
That's where it started.
No, that's not where I started. That's
What did you do?
I'm
Stop at 5 times.
No, I don't want to. That one is. I don't want to stop on the way where I will not be able to. I don't just want to stop like that. I actually did the slide for 3 hours. You understand? That's what I did. So I don't want to introduce a new topic and then stop on the way and then start again.
You can't start without the call. You can start without it.
Let's start again.
I want to open this.
I know.
Use marker.
I'm using fast pace now. Now I'm using like fast pace of You say you like it more than fast pace? I look at it like if I use only fast pace, I will not give what I want. Teach a little, then you use fast pace to project your answer. You don't use fast pace, it's disorganized. Nobody knows what before. You don't have black hair this time. Black will feel better.
Hello, good evening. My name is Esther. Today we'll be looking at arms of government in our government as a subject. Then after we look at some past questions and answers. Then let's start. Today we want to talk about arms of government, that is in Nigeria. bringing it down to Nigeria setting, arms of government. Now, in Nigeria, we have 3 arms of government. Number 1, we have the legislative, the executive, and the judiciary. So, Nigeria is a federal republic, like you know, with executive power exercised by the president. Hello, good evening. We want to talk about some past questions and answers in government. Year 2010. This is past question in government year 2010. Now, number 1 question says, which government question paper type is given to you? That is the first question that you see. This is JAMB 2010. A, is it question type A? Is it question type B? Is it question type C? State is synonymous with what? Nation state is synonymous with what? A, self-actualization. B, sovereignty. C, liberation. And D, nationalism. Nation state is synonymous with what? Nation state is synonymous with sovereignty. Nation state is synonymous with sovereignty. Number 3. And that's is the social value. The social value is the fundamental component of any political party, in which the gifted people are the helm of affairs is what? In which the gifted people, that is, people that are gifted are the helms of affairs is what? Aristotle. Question number 5. The state that is ruled by an elected citizen is what? The state that is ruled by an elected citizen is what? When you cast your vote, and at the end of the day, whoever that wins the election will rule that state is called what? The state that is ruled by an elected citizen is what? A republic. Nigeria is a republic state. That is, we are being ruled by an elected citizen. The person they just come out and start ruling. Question number 6. Question number 6. A true democracy in the modern sense exists where, that is, we are talking about a true democracy. We're not just talking about democracy now, the true one. I know democracy is the government of the people, by the people, and for the people. And they say a true democracy in the modern sense exists where the elected representative rule. Majority of the people rule. Majority of the people vote. Airlines rule. Elected representative rule. Government of the people, by the people, and for the people. When you elect someone that will represent you, and at the end of the day, the person wins the election and start ruling, that is a true democracy. Not somehow, somewhere, somebody did not even win. At the end of the day, they declare that person a winner. That is not the true democracy. The true democracy in the modern sense exists where the elected representative rule. That is the people's choice. Now, let's go to question number 7. In a parliamentary system, when the legislature passes a vote of no confidence on the executive, it means that, we have 3 arms of government: the legislative, the executive, and the judiciary. Now, they say that when the legislature passes a vote of no confidence on the executive, what does it mean? Executive is expected to go on suspension. Legislature ceases to trust executive. Executive is required to resign. Legislature commences legal proceeding against the executive. Question number 7. When the legislature passes a vote of no confidence on the executive is required to resign. That is in the parliamentary system of government. When the legislature passes a vote of no confidence to the executive, it means that the executive is required to resign. Question number 8. The legislative body of the United States of America, that's Nigeria. This one is talking about US. Now let's go to question number 9. Question number 9. I have to put in this. Question number 9 says, unicameralism is a feature of the legislation in what? Which states practice unicameralism? Israel, the United States, United Kingdom, and Ghana. The answer is A. They practice unicameralism as a feature of legislative. The upper house in most federal systems is created to ensure quality of federalism units, prevent excesses of the executive, oversee and check the lower house, enable experienced elders make input to government. Which one is the correct answer? Is to ensure quality of the federating unit. Let's go to question number 11. In which of the following system is the power of the component unit more than that of the system, the confederal system and the monarchical system? That's question number 11. The confederal system is a system in which the component unit is more than that of the central government. They're asking you the definition of the confederal system here. Now let's go to question number 12. Question number 12 says, one of the general tenets of fascist doctrine is that the leader is a supreme relative to the constitution. The leader is weak, is a weak relative to the constitution. The leader is subordinate to the laws of the state. The leader is subordinate to the norms of the society. That is question number 12. One of the general tenets of fascist doctrine is that the leader is a supreme relative to the constitution. The leader is a supreme relative to the constitution. He is the first person to obey the constitution. When a leader doesn't follow the constitution, followers don't follow too. Now, question number 13. In a cabinet system of government, executive power is exercised by A, the head of government, the president, or the dominant party. That's question number 13. Head of the government. In the cabinet system of government, the executive power is exercised by the head of the government. Question number 14. The principle of separation of power is best practiced in what? A, presidential system. B, parliamentary system. C, monarchical system, and the feudal system. The principle of separation of power is best practiced in what? A, the presidential system. They practice separation of power. Number 15. The rights of a citizen can be withdrawn by the state if the A, opposes the government violently, leaves the country permanently, is convicted of a serious crime, is pronounced dead. When can the right of a citizen be withdrawn from him or her? What will you do that you commit in Nigeria now? Your right as a citizen will be withdrawn from you. You know, we all have our right. The right to the right to vote and be voted for, the right to life, freedom of speech, and so on. But when you commit a serious crime, when you are being convicted of a serious crime, your right as a citizen of Nigeria can be withdrawn from you. That time you don't have the right to freedom of movement. Question number 17. An electoral process in which candidates are selected for elective offices by party members is called what? An electoral process in which candidates are selected for elective offices by party members is called what? The answer is primary election. We are talking about the first election that they will do in your party. An electoral process in which the candidates are selected for elective offices by party members is called primary test for the post of the governor. They will then do the election, the primary election will lead them and they will select someone that will run for that post. Now, question number 15. No, question number 17. Now we are going to question number 18. It's primary election. Primary election is the answer. And let's go to question number 18. In theory, one major advantage of one-party system is that, while we're talking about one-party system, one major advantage of one-party system is that what? That is question number 18. Serves as an instrument of national integration, eliminates intra-party conflict, promotes greater mass participation in government, guarantees social justice. The answer is serves as an instrument of national integration. One major advantage of one-party system, when a country is practicing one-party system, that is, only one political party is being recognized. The advantage is that it serves as an instrument of national integration, that everybody belongs to that party. It's not as a multi-party system. For example, if they have PDP as the only party in Nigeria, but the fact that you remember your integration, everybody is going to be united because we don't have multi-party system. Now, question number 19. A tactics employed by pressure group to achieve their objective is called what? Memorandum, electionary campaign, propaganda, lobbying. It's one common goal. They have their members' interests. You understand? Now, we have many pressure groups, Nigerian Bar Association, Nigerian Union of Teachers, and so on. They are all pressure groups, and you know that they have the interests of their members at heart. And one way in which they can achieve their objective is through this. Now, question number 20. Public opinion can be measured through negotiation, referendum, strike action, rumor. Public opinion. When you want opinion to be heard, how can it be measured? It can be measured through what? Like question number 20. Can be measured through negotiation, through referendum, strike action, and the rumor. Can be measured through policies. Allocating resources to the federating unit, supporting the party in power, mobilizing grassroots support for government. They implement government policies. Question 21. Civil service implement government policies. Now, who was the political head of the old Oyo Empire? Who was the political head of the old Oyo Empire? Alaafin of Oyo is the political head of old Oyo Empire. Number 23. The Igbo political system was based on age grade, Omona, family ties, and Omada. The Igbo political system was based on age grade. Question number 24. The ROH grade system in Igbo land was a religious organization, is a political organization. Question number 25. You know, this ROH grade is like it's the age grade, but this is their name. That time they were serving as a political organization in Igbo land then. 25. France introduced the policy of assimilation in her colonies, primarily to what? Why did France introduce the policy of assimilation? That's question number 25. Change their way of life. They introduced the policy to change their way of life. The foremost British trading company on the West African coast was what? The Royal Niger Company, United African Company, Liver Brother, John Holt and Sons. Question number 26. The Royal Niger Company was the foremost British trading company on the West African coast. Now, question 27. Which of these rulers resisted colonial rule and was deported to Calabar? We have King Kosoko, we have King Dosum, we have King Jaja, we have Oba Obaremi. Which one is the one that resisted colonial rule and was deported to Calabar? The answer is option C. Question number 28. Nigerian nationalism was described as two-faced by who? Who described Nigerian nationalism as two-faced? That is question number 28. The answer is Edward Wilmot Blinden. Question 29. One major weakness of the independent constitution is that what? What is their major weakness? Their independent constitution. Their major weakness is what? That is question number 29. Failed to provide the country with full sovereignty. Gave total independence to Nigeria? No. Gave full powers to the Supreme Court in Nigeria? No. The answer is failed to provide the country with full sovereignty. That is their weakness. If they are the one that gave total independence in Nigeria, it's not supposed to be weakness anymore. Now, question number 30. The first lawmaking body in Nigeria, that after amalgamation was the Nigerian Council, not the National Assembly. That was the first lawmaking body in Nigeria after the amalgamation was the Nigerian Council. Question number 31. The designation of ministers as chief executive and accounting officers was recommended by a commission headed by who? Who headed the commission that recommended the designation of ministers as chief executive? A major shortcoming of the ombudsman is what? Question number 32. A major shortcoming of the ombudsman is what? Question number 32. Lack of executive power to enforce decision. This was their major shortcoming. Question 33. One of the strong points of multi-party Nigerian Fourth Republic is what? One of the strong points of the multi-party Nigerian Fourth Republic. You know, Nigeria is practicing multi-party system. That is question number 33. The answer is wider political participation. One of the strong points of multi-party Nigerian Fourth Republic, wider political participation. We are practicing multi-party system of government. It's not only one political party that is recognized, we have many of them. And as a result of that, we have wider political participation. Question number 34. In which of the following is the ceremonial and executive powers field? Of course, you know that the presidential system of government, in the presidential system of government, the ceremonial and executive powers are fused. Question number 35. A major contentious issue confronting Nigerian federalism is what? What is the major? Poverty is one of the problems facing Nigeria. Education in our healthcare system is not that okay, but in Nigeria, federalism is the new education. Question 36. The main purpose of establishing public enterprise in Nigeria, public enterprise, what is the main purpose of establishing it in Nigeria? That is question 36. Increase government revenue, provide essential services, enrich the allies, compete with private sectors, provide essential services. Parasitides are established to, why do they establish parasitides? Enhance entrepreneurial skill, maximize government profit, expand business transactions to render social services. That is the answer. Question 38. The General Purpose Committee of the local government is what? What is General Purpose Committee of the local government? As in, that is government at the grassroots level. Question number 2 for supervising self-help projects is C. Question number 39. The highest organ of the state during the Babangida regime was what? Question 39. The highest organ of the state during the Babangida regime was Provisional Ruling Council. The answer is Provisional Ruling Council. Now, Decree 34 of 1966 was unacceptable to many Nigerians because the answer is seen as an instrument of impoverishment. No, perceived. Why did many people? Why did they reject that decree? It was unacceptable to many Nigerians because of what? Perceived to abolish the federal system before the constitution. So that's why it was unacceptable to them. Question number 41. Nigeria broke diplomatic relations with France in 1961 because of what? Why did Nigeria broke diplomatic relations with France in 1961? Question 41. France atomic test in the Sahara Desert. That is the answer. It's because of France atomic test in the Sahara Desert that broke Nigerian diplomatic relations in France in 1961. Now, question 42. An attribute that Nigeria shares with most non-aligned countries is what? The attribute that Nigeria shares with most aligned countries is what? Question 42. the state of our economy. Nigeria serves as state of economy with other aligned countries. Nigeria spearheaded the formation of ECOWAS during the regime of who? Whose regime? That is question number 43. Yeah, go on. That is the answer. Question 44. Nigeria was classified as a frontier state for participating in peacekeeping in the what? Peacekeeping in Congo, supporting the Lim liberation effort. The answer to question 44 is B, supporting the Lim liberation effort in Southern Africa. Now let's go to question number 45. The prominent role Nigeria played in the UN in the 70s and her what? Question number 45. It earned Nigeria chairmanship of the general. Question 46. Head of Nigerian foreign mission in the Commonwealth nation is known as, whoever is representing Nigeria in the Commonwealth nation is our High Commissioner. Now question 47. One major function of the authority of head of state and government of ECOWAS is what? Appointing executive members of the Security Council is what? That is 48. It's 2 years. They have to serve only for 2 years. 49. The Secretary General of the United Nations is appointed by who? Who used to appoint the Secretary General of the United Nations? That is question 49. Security Council acting alone? No. The answer is C. Permanent members of the Security Council on the recommendation of the General Assembly. Now let's go to question number 50. The approval of treaties and agreements of the Economic Community of West African States is the responsibility of who? Question number 4. The responsibility of the Assembly of Heads of State and Government. That is all questions in government 2010. Now let's go to question UTME 2011 government question and answer. Which question paper type is given to you? Now, is it type A, type B, type C, or type D? Which government question paper type is given to you? 2011, type A. So the answer is A. Question number 2. The development of attitude and belief about a political system is what? The development of attitude and belief about a political party. You know what a political party is. Then the answer is what? Political emancipation, political socialization, political participation, political orientation. Question number 2 is D. Political orientation is the development of attitude and belief about a political system, socialization, political ideology, political economy, or political culture. That is question number 3. The answer is political ideology. That is political behavior is governed by political ideology. The idea, the behavior. So that is political behavior is governed by political ideology. Let's go to question number 4. In a nation, sovereignty is vested in the what? Sovereignty is vested in the electorate. In a nation, sovereignty is vested in the electorate. Which of the following is a feature of democracy? What is democracy? Democracy is the government of the people, by the people, and for the people. And which of the following feature is a feature of democracy? Like you're talking about question number 5 now. Interdependence of states, state responsibilities to society, power vested in minority parties, popular consultation. That is question number 5. State responsibility to society is a feature of democracy. Private ownership of the means of production. Private ownership of the means of production is central to what? We have fascism, feudalism, capitalism, and communism. They are asking you the definition. That is question number 6 now. Fascism is the private ownership of the means of production. That is when the means of production is owned by a private individual. Now let's go to question number 7. A system based on hierarchies of land ownership is what? A system based on hierarchy owns a particular portion of land. when a system is based on hierarchies of land ownership. Now, question number 8. Which of the following performs quasi-legislative function? Question number 8. The judiciary, the traditional institution. The answer is the judiciary. A major weakness of confederation is what? A major weakness of confederation is what? That is question number 9. Lack of common currency. One of the major weaknesses of confederation is what? Lack of common currency. Question number 10. Members of a parliament are required to report the proceeding of their house to their what? To their constituency, to their local government chairman, to their traditional rulers, to their political parties. So who are they supposed to report the proceeding of the house to their political parties that sent them to that place? Which of the following country is a unitary state? That is question number 11. Which of the following countries a unitary state? Nigeria, India, United States of America, and Ghana. That's question number 11. The answer is B. India is a unitary state. Question number 12. Ending a session of parliament by royal proclamation means when you end the session of parliament by royal proclamation, what does it mean? It means that is question number 12. It means adjournment of parliament. When they say that a parliament has ended by royal proclamation, it means that adjournment of parliament. Let's go to question number 13. A main feature of the parliamentary system is that the executive consists of all party members. Judges are drawn from the ruling party. Electoral commissioners leave at the end of their tenure. The executive is appointed by the legislature. Which one is the main feature of the parliamentary system of government? That is question number 13. Judges are drawn from the ruling party. We have the executive, the parliament, the legislative, executive, and the judiciary. Now let's go to question number 14. Accumulation of wealth is what? When a private individual accumulating is what? Prohibited, regulated, limited, encouraged. In a socialist economy, that's question number 14. Is what? Limited. There is a limited, it's limited. In a socialist economy, private accumulation of wealth is limited to a certain level. The earliest classification of constitution was the work of what? Who classified constitution? That is the earliest classification of constitution was the work of who? Was the work of Aristotle. The father of the constitution. Question number 16. Constitutionalism. This one is constitution. The constitutionalism refers to what is constitutionalism? Question number 6 is the amendment of an existing constitution. Question number 17. An advantage of delegated legislation are handled by experts. Ministers and lawmakers work together. It hastens the implementation of policy. Ministers and lawmakers recite the pledge. When you recite the pledge, is it your duty? Yes, but it's not your essential duty. Pay his tax, encourage other citizens. Your essential duty as a citizen of the state is to pay your tax. Question number 19. Franchise is an electoral process. What is franchise? I'm just asking what is franchise. Franchise is right to vote. You voted for. Now, franchise in an electoral process means the right to vote. That's all. Franchise, have you exercised your franchise? Have you voted? Go and vote. That is franchise in an electoral process. That's question number 19. Question number 20. The type of party system in practice is defined by the type of party system in practice is defined by that is question number 20. Relationship between the parties and electorate, structure of the political party, manner in which their parties operate, number of political parties in the country. The type of party system in practice. How can we define the type of party system in practice? For example, in Nigeria now, how can we define the type of party system in practice? Is what the structure of the political parties. Question number 21. Pressure group harmonize different individual concerns through what? How do pressure group harmonize? What pressure group is all about. I've given you an example in the other question. We have the NUT, Nigerian Union of Teachers, Nigerian Bar Association, and the rest. They have their members' interests at heart, and they have one common goal. Now, they harmonize different individual concerns through what? That is question number 21. Through interest formulation, like I just said, interest formulation, interest manipulation. They don't manipulate. Interest mobilization, no. The interest formulation, they have each other's interest at heart. Question number 22. Question number 22. Opinion polls are organized to find out the what? Opinion polls are organized to find out the what? Like question number 22. Opinion polls are organized to find out the benefits derived by people from government. People's thoughts about a particular government policy. People's expectation from the government. Feelings of people about particular issues and policies. Opinion polls. When they conducted opinion polls, why did they conduct such? Opinion polls are organized to find out what are they looking for to organize opinion polls. That is question number 22. And the answer is what? The answer is B. People's thoughts about a particular government policy. When they introduce a particular government policy, then they now conduct opinion polls to find out people's thoughts about that particular government policy. Question number 23. In pre-colonial Igbo land, autocratic rule was made difficult by who? In pre-colonial Igbo land, autocratic rule was made difficult by who? Fear of deployment, absence of centralized system of authority, pressure from age grade, activities of all activities, society. You know that it's the age grade at the pre-colonial Igbo land. The age grade we are serving as a political parties there. Now is the pressure from age grade. Question number 24. The Yoruba traditional system of government was the what? Question number 24. Under the pre-colonial Sokoto Caliphate system, the next in command to the Sultan is who? That is the after Sultan. Who is the next in command? Question number 25 is the Galadima. Question number 26. Which of the following societies was classified as follows? Benin, Bibio, Igbo, Ijaw. Which of the following societies was classified as what? As follows. That is question number 26. The answer is Benin. Indirect rule encourage communal integration, exploitation and oppression, intercommunal cooperation, the rise of nationalism. That is indirect rule. What is indirect rule? Know the definition of what? How do indirect rule? Indirect rule encourage what? What did it encourage? That's question 27. It encouraged the rise of nationalism. Question number 28. The main achievement of the nationalists in Nigeria was what? Question number 28. What is the main achievement? The nationalists. The achievement was what? The restoration of political parties. They are the one that registered political parties. Economic innovation, no. This is the right answer. Question number 29. The major external factor that promoted nationalism in Nigeria was what? The major external factor that promoted nationalism in Nigeria was what? That is question 29. It says what? The Second World War. System of government was introduced in Nigeria with the constitution of what? A. 1989 constitution, B. 1999 constitution, C. 1960 constitution, D. 1979 constitution. The answer is B. 1999 constitution was when the presidential system of government was introduced in Nigeria. Now, question number 30. Question number 31. The action group crisis. The action group crisis of 1963 led to the formation of what? The action group crisis of 1963 led to the formation of what? That question number 31. Led to the formation of what? Formation of MPC. Under the 1963 Republican Constitution, the power of judicial review was vested in the as under the 1963 Republican Constitution, the power of the judicial review was vested in the President, the Chief Justice, the Supreme Court, and the Parliament. Which one is correct? And that's based on 32. The answer is the President. Based on 33. The rules and regulations of the civil service are called what? What are the rules and regulations of the civil service? That's based on 13. Based on 33 are called based on number 34. The Code of Conduct Bureau was essentially established to reduce corruption in public life, protect the rights of public servants. That's based on 34. Reduce the corruption in public life. Based on 35. Which of the following political parties was the first to be formed when the ban on politics was lifted in 1978? Which of the following political parties was the first to be formed when the ban on politics was lifted in 1978? That's the MPP, the PRP, MPN, and the UPN. MPP was the first political party to be formed when the ban on politics was lifted in 1978. The principle of federal character was adopted in order to promote equitable allocation of work. The principle of federal character was adopted in order to promote equitable allocation of A, positions and appointments among the male and the female. D, revenue between groups in the country. That is based on number 36. Opportunities between the males and females. Based on 37. The component units of the Nigerian Federation comprise of what? The National Assembly, the military, police, and the civil service. Constituency, ward, emirate, and chiefdom. Federal, state, local government, and federal capital territory. Federal capital territory, National Assembly, Supreme Court, and civil service. National Assembly, the component unit of Nigerian Federation comprise of National Assembly, military, police, and civil service, constituency, ward, emirate, and federal, state, local government, and federal capital territories. Question number 38. In Nigeria, privatization and commercialization policies were introduced to what? Hand over the control of commercial ventures to citizens, increase the asset base of government, diverse government measure control of commercial ventures, allow government control of private sector. That is question number 38. Hand over the control of commercial ventures to citizens. Based on 39. That is National Population Commission, First Bank of Nigeria. That is based on number 39. An example of public corporation in Nigeria. Public corporation in Nigeria. Following the reform of the native authority system in northern Nigeria, traditional rulers became a council, chief and council, prefect, chief in control. The answer is chief and council. Question 41. Under whose regime were Akwa Ibom and Katsina states created? Under whose regime were Akwa Ibom and Katsina states created? That is question 41. We have General Murtala Mohammed, General Ibrahim Babangida, General Sani Abacha, General Yakubu Gowon. Authored by INEC is the responsibility of who? Get the base on. Under the 1999 Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, The appointment and posting of members of election tribunal on the election conducted by INEC is the responsibility of who? Whose responsibility? Chairman, Independent National Electoral Commission. B, President of Nigeria. Question 42. The answer is President Court of Appeal. Then, question number 44. The adoption of non-enlightenment as a principle of Nigerian foreign policy was aimed at promoting Nigeria's leadership aspiration in Africa, attaining equal status with the world powers, fulfilling a basic requirement for acceptance in the UN Security Council, insulating Nigeria against having to take sides. The answer is B, attaining equal status with the world powers. Question 45. In 1979, the non-aligned member states were A, 21, B, 27, C, 30. Which of the following was the Secretary General of OPEC? You know OPEC. Who was the Secretary General of OPEC? Organization of Petroleum Exporting Countries. Jibril Aminu, Aret Adams, Dahatu Bayero, Rewan Lukwan, who was the Secretary General of OPEC? That is question 46. Aret Adams. Which of the following countries pioneered the idea of ECOWAS alongside Nigeria? Which of the following countries pioneered the idea of ECOWAS alongside Nigeria? We have Liberia, we have Togo, we have Cote d'Ivoire, and we have Mali. The answer is Cote d'Ivoire. Now, question 48. Which of the following international organizations were in existence before the Second World War? We have UNO, that is United Nations Organization. We have the OAU, Organization of African Union. We have the League of Nations. We have the ECOWAS, the Economic Community of West African States. Then, which of the following international organizations were in existence before the Second World War? 48. We have the UN, that is the United Nations Organization. Now, question 49. Question number 49. The organ of the United Nations responsible for the approval of its annual budget is what? The organ of the United Nations responsible for the approval of its budget is the what? A, the Secretariat, Security Council, General Assembly, Economic and Social Council. That is question 49. The Secretariat is the organ of the United Nations responsible for approval of its annual budget. Then 50. That's the last question. Each member state is represented on the board of governors of OPEC for a period of 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, 1 year, for a period of 4 years. Now let's go to UTME 2012 government question. Now, question number 1. Which question paper type of government, as indicated above, is given to you? We have type green, type purple, type red, and type yellow. The answer is C, type red. Now let's go to question number 2. The distinctive attribute of a state is the monopoly of what? The attribute of a state, that is one of the features or characteristics of a state, is the monopoly of what? Control, monopoly of power, monopoly of violence, monopoly of justice. That is question number 2. The answer is B, power. The distinctive attribute or characteristics or features of a state is the monopoly of what? Power. Question number 3. State as a political entity refers to dash. Which one is the best definition of a state? When they say what is a state? State as a political entity refers to an organized group within a definite territory. B, an association of men in a given society. State is all about men. C, a branch of a nation. D, a geographical location. That is question number 3. State is an organized group within a definite territory. Example, Katsina State, Kano State, Kebbi State, Oyo State is an organized group within a definite territory. It's called values in any given society. That is question number 4. We can apply it through political socialization. The answer is C. In a democratic government, political sovereignty is vested in the legislature, the elite, the executive, and the electorate. Is it the executive or the electorate? That is question number 5. And we have the answer, the electorate. People that we voted for. In a democratic government, political sovereignty is vested in the electorate. Then question number 6. One judicial function performed by the executive. You know, we have 3 arms of government. We have the legislature, we have the executive, and we have the judiciary. Then and each of them have their own function. Then one judicial function performed by the executive is what? One function that executive perform actually is the work of appointing judges. Which one is the judicial function or is being performed by the executive? That is question number 6. Is ensuring obedience to the law. Question number 7. A governmental system in which the constitution is what? Federal, confederal, unitary, parliamentary. That's question number 7. Federal, which empowers the leader with the ultimate responsibility to execute law. A political system in which empowers the leader, that the leader has the ultimate responsibility to execute the law, is what? Parliamentarism, presidentialism, dictatorship, autocracy. That is question number 8. A political system which empowers the leader with the ultimate power to execute the law is autocracy. Question number 9. A bill is a draft which is awaiting the consideration of who? A draft that is awaiting the consideration, if they will consider it or not, that is consideration of who? Executive. Is it executive? Is it a party caucus? Is it the legislature or the judiciary? That is question number 9. Is the legislature. A bill is a draft which is awaiting the consideration of the legislation. When they approve it or when they consider it, it becomes a bill. Question number 13. So look, number 10. So the private ownership of the means of production is a feature of what? The answer is capitalism. Is a private ownership of the means of production is a feature of what? When a private individual owns the means of production. Question number 11. In a feudal, those days, whenever you get to see this word feudal, what normally comes to your mind? In a feudal system, the 2 major classes are the D, elite. That's question number 11. The answer is Lord. Those days, when you see this word feudal, the next thing that comes to your mind is the Lord. Now, question number 12. An example of a country with a flexible constitution. We know we have 2 types. We have types of constitution. We have the rigid constitution and the flexible constitution, just like the word flexible, rigid. So when we have then an example of a country with a flexible constitution is what? South Africa, Britain, Benin Republic, United States of America. You know, when the constitution is flexible, when the constitution is rigid, that it can be amended. When it's flexible, it can be amended. Then an example of a country with such constitution is what? Which country practices such constitution? South Africa, Britain, Benin Republic, United States of America. That's a question number 12, United States of America. Question number 13. The rule of law is negation of what? Those when they say what is rule of law? Rule of law, equality before the law, supremacy of the law, existence of fundamental human rights. Those things. Now they say the rule of law is negation of what? A. Equality before the law. B. Supremacy of the law. C. Limited power. D. Absolute power. The rule of law is negation of what? That is question number 13. The rule of law is the negation of what? The rule of law, equality before the law, supremacy of the law, limited power, absolute power. This one contains both the equality of the law and the supremacy of the law. If we choose the equality before the law, what about supremacy? Absolute power consists of equality and supremacy. Now, question number 14. To ensure the rights and freedom of citizens, the powers of the arms of government must be what? To ensure the rights and freedom of citizens, the powers of the arms of government must be what? A. And freedom of citizens. You know, as a citizen, you have rights and you have freedom. The right, freedom of movement, freedom of speech, freedom of association. Those things are your rights. Now, to ensure that you have your rights, the powers of the arms of government must be what? Must be separated. 15. Delegated legislation is made by the bodies other than the what? Question number 15, verse 16. The bringing of a session of a parliament to an end without royal proclamation. Remember that is 2011 question. We talk about when a session ends through royal proclamation. Now we are talking about the bringing of a session of the parliament to an end through royal proclamation is known as what? A. Political impasse, dissolution of parliament, vote of no confidence, prorogation of parliament. That's question number 66. Prorogation of parliament. That is when the session is adjourned. Question number 17. The right of citizens to participate in the affairs of government of their country is called what? The right of citizens to participate in the affairs of government of their country is called economic rights, civil rights, political rights, and social rights. Which of these rights, the right of citizens to participate in the affairs of government of their country, that is question number 17. Is it their economic right? Is it their civil right? Is it their political right? To participate in the affairs of government of their country. Now let's go to question number 18. The commission charged with the conduct of federal election in Nigeria. The commission charged with the conduct of federal election in Nigeria. Which people conduct election in Nigeria? Is it the NEC, the INEC, and the NICO? Is the INEC, Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC? They are the question number 19. An electoral system in which parties are assigned seats in the parliament commensurate to the number of votes pooled is what? That is question number 19. Answer is C, proportional representation. Question number 20. An intra-party activity for the selection of candidates for elective position known as what? An intra-party activity for the selection of candidates for elective position known as what? Primary election, general election, midterm election, by-election, primary election. This is intra-party activity for the selection of candidates for elective position. That is when a party conductor is in-house election to select candidates for elective positions. Now, 21. The primary aim of pressure group is what? Not the pressure group. What is the primary aim? Attract people's attention. Is it the primary aim? Protect the interests of members. Acquire political power. Fight corrupt officials. Is to protect the interests of their members. I told you that one of the aim of pressure group is to protect the interests of their members. And I listed some pressure groups we have. We have like NUT, Nigerian Bar Association, Nigerian Union of Teachers, and so on. So they are examples of pressure group, and one of their aim is to protect the interests of the world of the members. That's question 21. The answer is B. Question 22. Which of the following is used in gauging public opinion? How can you gauge public opinion? Which of the following is used to gauge public opinion? Constitution, educational institution, mass media, electoral college. That is question number 22. Mass media. They can use the mass media or the television, internet, radio, and the rest. They can use it in gauging public conduct in government is what? A permanent structure that facilitates continuity and guarantees orderly conduct in government is what? Bureaucracy, public corporation, ombudsman, political party. That is question number 23. Bureaucracy, permanent structure that facilitates continuity and guarantees orderly conduct in government is bureaucracy. Question number 24. In the Hausa pre-colonial political system, a district was headed by, that is those days, in the Hausa pre-colonial political system, that is before the colonial government, a district was headed by who? A Hakimi, a Dagasi, an Akalai, a Waziri. That's question number 24. Hakimi. In Hausa pre-colonial political system, a district was headed by a Hakimi. That is the person that headed the district those days, before the colonial government, is called a Hakimi. Now, question number 25. Which of the following ensured the practice of democracy in the pre-colonial Yoruba political system? Which of the following ensured the practice of democracy in the pre-colonial Yoruba political system? Checks and balance, division of power, individual responsibility, the rule of law. That is question number 25. We have checks and balance. That's the answer. We say those days, that is before the colonial government, checks and balance ensured the practice of democracy in the pre-colonial Yoruba political system. Each arms of government check what other arms are doing, and then they balance. So question number 26. Colonization of West Africa was mainly motivated by who motivated the colonization of Africa? Security consideration, economic reason, religious reason, cultural factors. That is question number 26. Economic reason. Question number 27. The French colonial system was underlined by the policy of what? Assimilation, paternalism, socialism, indirect rule. French policy of what? Assimilation. That's question number 27. A. Now let's go to question number 28. Radical nationalism in Nigeria is generally attributed to the influence of who? Question number 28. Radical nationalism in Nigeria is generally attributed to the influence of who? Aminu Kano, Herbert Macaulay, Nnamdi Azikiwe, and Mbonu Ejike. Radical nationalism in Nigeria was generally attributed to the influence of who? That is question number 28. The answer is C, Nnamdi Azikiwe. Now let's go to question 29. Question 29. Two foreigners that directly arouse nationalist feeling among Nigerians are what? Two foreigners that directly arouse nationalist feelings among Nigerians are who? Edward Blake. Now, let's go to question number 30. Members of the Senate in Nigeria. Members of the Senate in Nigeria's First Republic were who? Members of the Senate in Nigeria's First Republic is who? Number Question that is A, elected directly by the people, elected by the electoral college, nominated by regional and federal government, nominated by the president of the house. Question number 30. The answer is C, nominated by regional and federal government. That is, members of the Senate in Nigerian First Republic, how do they nominate them? Who are the members of the Senate in Nigerian First Republic? They are nominated by regional and federal government. And let's go to question number 31. In Nigeria, the agency mainly responsible for the maintenance of internal peace and security is what? In Nigeria, coming to Nigeria now, which agency is responsible for internal peace and security? We have the army, we have the navy, we have the civil defense, and we have the police. That's question 31. The answer is what? Police. In Nigeria, the agency mainly responsible for the maintenance of internal peace and security. Internal peace, that is, they say peace at the grassroots is the what? The police. Question 32. The National Assembly in Nigeria is primarily responsible for now executing laws. This comes when we talk about the three arms of government, the legislature, the executive, and the judiciary. Now, the National Assembly as the legislature, they are primarily responsible for what? Executing laws, interpreting laws. The executive executes the law, the judiciary punish the offenders, and interpret the law and punish the offenders, and the legislature they make the law. Now, the National Assembly in Nigeria is primarily responsible for executing law, interpreting law, ratifying appointment, making of laws. That is question number 32. Making of the National Assembly, their work as a legislature, they make law. The executive executes the law, that is the judiciary punish offenders. Question number 33. The major factor militating against the efficient operation of electoral commission in Nigeria is what? The major factor militating against the efficient operation of electoral commission in Nigeria is what? What is the factor that is militating against the efficient operation of electoral commission in Nigeria? A, inadequate public support. B, population size. C, adequate skilled manpower. D, excessive political interface. Which of these factors militate against the efficient operation of electoral commission in Nigeria? That is the question. Then that is question number 33, and the answer is excessive political interface. Is a factor that is militating against the efficient operation of electoral commission in Nigeria. We watch sometimes during election, many things happen, many things from election war, violence, and the rest. At the end of the day, maybe the person you voted for did not let the winner. Many things. So excessive political interference is the major factor that militates against the efficient operation of the electoral commission in Nigeria. Question number 34. A major objective of the public complaint is what? A major objective of the Public Complaint Commission, that is Public Complaint Commission, is what? What is the major objective? The PCC, Public Complaint Commission. What do they do? Training and promotion of public servants. And then they want to train and promote public servants. Settlement of disputes among individuals. When you have a quarrel with someone, the PCC, is it their work to come and settle the dispute among individuals? C, addressing the grievances of individuals and groups. Is it their work? Fighting corruption and indiscipline. Which one is the major objective of the PCC? That is Public Complaint Commission. Based on 34. Addressing the grievances of individuals and groups. When individual and group have grievances, they address it. Question number 35. The three registered political parties at the inception of Nigerian Fourth Republic. That is, at the inception of Nigerian Fourth Republic, three political parties were registered. PDP, DPP, PPA. PDP, AD, APP. PDP, AD, PPA, PDP, APP, and AC are the the three registered political parties at the inception of Nigerian Fourth Republic. That's question number 35. Is it the PDP, that is People's Democratic Party, DPP, Democratic People's Party, PPA, People's Progressive Alliance? That is the meaning of all these abbreviation. The answer is PDP, that is the Action. Okay, this is Action Congress, People's Democratic Party, Progressive People's Alliance. Then the answer is PDP, AD, and APP. Question number 35 is D. Question 36. The Sharia legal system was first introduced in the Fourth Republic in what? Question number 36. The Sharia legal system is not that practice the Sharia legal system. That's pre-colonial, before the colonial government. The Sharia legal system was first introduced in Zamfara State. Now let's go to page 137. Quota system and federal character principle were enriched in the 1979 Constitution. In the 1979 Constitution to ensure loyalty, public empowerment, equity, even development. Based on 37 is equity. Based on 38, workers in the public corporation are known as those workers in the public corporation are known as civil servants, private employees, public servants, professional employees. That is based on 38, public servants. Based on 39, the central objective of privatization in Nigeria is what? What is the central objective? Some of the things Nigeria have now, privatization, an individual can own it. The major objective, why did they introduce such? A, to reduce the entrenchment of workers. B, encourage prompt payment of salaries. C, improve standard of living. D, improve the efficiency of enterprise. Based on 39, improve the efficiency of enterprise. They say let individual own some things in Nigeria so that they can improve the efficiency of that thing. You know, when government owns this on some projects or some some properties, some projects, government will not attend to them. At the end of the day, some will not even eat daily food. So they say let private individuals take over such things so that it can improve the efficiency of the enterprise. Some of the companies, some of the things Nigeria have, they have to hand it over to private individual. Military intervention in Nigeria arose from, there was a time military had to intervene. It was arose from what? Perceived incapability of civilians to govern. You see, when the military perceived that the civilians cannot govern the state, they had to intervene. Based on, that is B, international pressure for change. The desire for a military government, civilian desire to relinquish power. That is question number 40. Perceived incapability of civilians to govern. When the military civilians cannot govern again, they lack the manpower to govern, then the military will not take over. That is A. Question number 41. The first institution introduced by the military to exercise legislative power was the dash. The first institution introduced by the military, that is the first institution that was introduced by the military to exercise legislative power was the dash. A, Supreme Military Council, Armed Forces Ruling Council, Federal Executive Council, Provisional Ruling Council. Question number 41. The answer is A, Supreme Military Council. It was the first institution introduced by the military. Who introduced the military to exercise legislative power? Question 42. The main focus of Nigeria's foreign policy since independence centers on what? The main focus of Nigeria's foreign centrism. That is question number 42. And the answer is D, about racism. Question Africa. The country championed the colonization of in Africa was that Nigeria, South Africa, Ghana, Kenya. Question 43. Ghana championed the colonization in Africa. Question number 44. A major throwback to the Nepal initiative is what? Articulation by few African leaders, affiliation by few African Union, inability to empower the youth, reliance on Western donors for funds. Question 44, 2012. Question number 44. The answer is D. Reliance on Western donors for funds. Question 45. The structures of the African Union include, the structures of the AU include what? The Court of Justice, Pan-African Congress, and People's Assembly. B. Pan-African Parliament, the Court of Justice, and the Peace and Security Council. C. Specialized Technical Commission, the Court of Justice, and Humanitarian Board. D. People's Assembly, Humanitarian Board, and the Peace and Security Council. All these are mentioned. Which one is C? ECOMOG at the initial stage of its intervention in Liberia. At its intervention stage in Liberia was perceived as what? Neutral, incompetent, partisan, inventors. Question number 46, answer is A, neutral. Question 47. One of the programs binding members of Commonwealth is what? Which program binds members of Commonwealth? Food and Aid Program, Cultural Program, Agenda for Peace, Scholarship Scheme. Question number 47. Food and Aid Program is one of the programs binding members of the Commonwealth. Question number 48. The African leader mostly credited for spearheading the formation of the African Union. There is an African leader who was credited for figure D, C, and D. That's question number 48. The answer is Abdullah Iwadi, not that from me. This is the answer. Abdullah Iwadi. Is an African leader that was credited for spearheading the formation of the African Union. Now, question number 49. As part of the reforms in the UN, 2 slots were proposed in the Security Council for. As part of the reforms in the UN, 2 slots were proposed in the Security Council for. A. Asia. B. Africa. C. America. D. EU. Answer is Africa. As part of the reforms in the UN, that is United Nations, 2 slots were proposed for the Security Council for Africa. Question number 40. The founding are A. Algeria, Iran, Iraq, Saudi Arabia, Kuwait. The founding members B. Nigeria, Libya, Iraq, and Saudi Arabia. C. Venezuela, Nigeria, Libya, Iran, and Iraq. D. Saudi Arabia, Iran, Iraq, Kuwait, and Venezuela. Which one is the founding members of OPEC? Question number 50. The answer is D. Saudi Arabia, Iran, Iraq, Kuwait, and Venezuela. That is the end. That is D. And that was the end of our lesson for today in government. So when you're preparing for your government exams,